Welcome to Why Your Business is Invisible Online, the podcast that connects businesses online with the people they want to serve. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
I'm Jim Filatico. When I'm not helping my clients grow their businesses online, you can find me traveling with friends and family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs, and I'm the AT alien of the group. I love hanging with friends and family, and when I'm not doing that, you can find me on Peloton. I've clocked over 2,000 rides so far.
And I'm your host, John Manatas from Oakville, Ontario, Canada, with my guitar in hand, my Wi-Fi on life support, but always in tune with my clients.
I think this is a good segue into, and we kind of start into D.
D, yeah. So let's move on into D. This is all about data-driven strategy. And trust me, I've started to look at the data very closely, and you have to have KPIs right from the outset. Understand in advance what it is we're targeting in terms of how do we define success. So your KPIs, things like traffic, things like degree of engagement, your conversion rates are critical with data. But I guess the bottom line with data is you need a consistent process as well. Data, yeah, it's an interesting one because everybody wants to get to the slick creative stuff sometimes, and it's at the expense of data because for a lot of people it's just boring. But without it, your conclusions are going to be all over the map. And so, let's talk about some stories around there that we may have had with where data has saved us, where data has also, maybe perhaps led us down funny paths if we don't interpret it properly.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is as you meet with them for the first time, and if you're able to get into the Google Analytics, and I do this with every prospect, is you look to see what percentage of their search is branded versus non-branded. And that can get squirrely because if you have a generic brand name, sometimes it's hard to really determine whether it's truly the brand or whatever. So one of the most recent prospects that I had was a weight loss, a med spa place. When we looked at, we're just looking at the website and we started talking about audience, and we started talking about, how many people are looking at the website and who are they and those kind of things. And when we looked, and it was like 88% branded, that's great that people that know your name actually go on your website and they know where to find you.
Right. So they're typing in, yeah, exactly. They're typing in just the name because they know you.
So, okay. Right. And you can tell too when it's direct versus search, organic search. So if it's direct, they know who you are. They're typing something. They could misspell it. They can do whatever, but at least they know your company name, so they'll find you. And that's wonderful that you have an audience. But if that's most of your search, your available market, so to speak, is very, very small traditionally. And so when I explained that, I said, we need people to be searching for the products or services you provide kind of generically. And when they do that, where do you come up? Are you on the first page? Do you show up? Whatever. And
you were talking to a specific client for this one?
It was the med spa weight loss type.
Okay.
Client.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's like, and the easiest thing to do is just go to products or services. You click the down and you say, okay, Botox or whatever. And then you type that in near me and see what comes up. And if you don't show up, you're not being found. And these are the people that are being found, right? So you show them and they're like, yeah, they're a competitor. Yeah, they're a competitor. That helps people understand, because we've talked about being found, that helps people understand. That's kind of the very beginning of, you have a beautiful website, it's nice, but you're not being found, right? Because they're only finding you for your brand name. And so that helps build that case for, you need to add more content, you need to do the other things that help build that search engine optimization that we've talked about, that helps bring that up. And so we're just in the beginning stages, but we've already talked about that. And now it's okay. We need to make sure that we're searching. Either you need to change how you talk about the products or services on your website, or we need to use those exact keywords in your content so that when people are searching generically for the product or service, whichever one it is, they'll find you.
That's right.
Right. And so that's not always easy for, a business owner that doesn't understand digital marketing to understand.
Right.
So that's kind of an easy way to kind of explain it, and saying, for the services, you say you've got these, in this case, it's probably 25 or 30 different services. You're just not being found. So you don't have a chance to sell people that don't know who you are.
Yep.
And then they understand, okay, I got some work to do. Right. And whether in a lot of cases, if they're just starting out, this one is, this business is less than a year old, money's not exactly rolling in yet. And it's one of those things where, okay, well, you can go on and you can add some content and just add more information about that particular product or service. And, and if you need help, great, I'm here to help. So that's kind of where we're at now, where I'm kind of an advisor. But I mean, in the long run, hopefully we'll be able to help out.
I'm curious, Jim, do they, I know a lot of clients, they just want to hear about the end result. They don't really want to understand a lot of the, how you're getting to your conclusions by looking at a whole bunch of data. Are they open to it? Do they open to listening to a little bit about how you arrived at your conclusions on what you're going to do next because of the data? Did they
I
care?
think in the case that I just gave, where you're talking about branded versus non-branded, that's pretty easy to understand. Once you start getting into more details and digging into the next layer or so, then it's harder. It's harder to explain, and it's also harder to be able to explain how it's going to change necessarily. In this case, I think it's like 75, 80% women. And it's an age group of, 30 to 50 or 60, depending on the product or the service. And so, if you're not targeting those personas, and you can see that with Google Analytics, you can see based on the IP address that just came to the website, everybody that comes, they don't know your name, but they know basically where you are and basically what your age group and your, whether you're male or female or whatever. So they're able to do that and extrapolate that out. So you can provide that information. And if you're not attracting that audience that you want, then you need to make changes.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're willing to listen to, at least the high level conclusions you're drawing from the data. Yeah. Yep. I find a lot of my clients, they don't really want to get too deep into the sausage making. So how many leads did you generate for me this much, this month? Yep. Am I on page 1 or am I on page 5?
Yep. Right.
Okay. Let's move on to, what are you going to do?
I actually have a more mature med spa that it's all about how many appointments did I get?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, ultimately, I don't care what you do from start to finish, as you said, making the sausage.
Yeah.
How many appointments did I get? Was it profitable? Was it my target audience?
Right.
Enough said.
Yeah.
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 How about you, Kelly? What's your experience been like with data? I mean, we know we need to use it for ourselves. Otherwise, we don't know where we're going. But what's it like with clients?
Yeah, no, it's an important point. Exactly where I was going. Like we live in the data because the data is really what tells the story of what we need to do next. So we have to be data geeks. For me, it depends on what we're talking about. One of the things I love to use data for is to understand customers' experiences on the page. Right. And I'll tell you what I mean. So before we put a website up, we will use software to, again, we talk about you make this beautiful website and that's great. But we will use software to help us to see visually what's going on the website. So for instance, we always talk about above the fold, right? And so ideally above the fold, you want people to
Above the fold, just for our audience, meaning
it's basically the first thing they see
right.
without them having to scroll up or down.
Up or down. Perfect.
Well, down because how
and that's different on mobile, versus desktop.
It still should be that you should consider both because it's still
right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So
and a tablet's a little different.
If I have to, so it should be optimized for all. But as I look at that, what I want to do is to say, so I'm reminded of, you all know, we have partnered with Marty Grief, and Marty Grief wrote a book called True Connections, Relationship and Marketing to the Digital World. And so in his book, Marty talks about when you go to the first page of a website, it's 3 things that you want to know. You want to know, number 1, am I in the right place? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. How do I feel about it? Does. And so I'll talk about that a little more. And also, what do I do next? So
those are the 3 key questions.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I do is, no matter how beautiful I think the website is, I'll do this analysis of it. And what the analysis showed me, looking at the data, there's probably 2, maybe 3 things where I want the human eye to go. And that's to the call to action, right? So from Marty's book, am I in the right place? That has more to do with upstream messaging. So I don't care necessarily about that right here for this. But what I do care is, how do I feel about it and what to do next specifically. So I take this screenshot and I do an analysis of where does the human eye go? And so I'll take my call to action up in the top right-hand corner, which should be my telephone number, and unless the client doesn't want to divulge that. And I look at the call to action. Now, what the beauty of this is, this data tells me like where the human eye goes first. Like it'll show me a heat map, and then it'll show like 100% of the time people are going to this, or it won't be 100, but like 50% of the time people are going here and another percentage here. And if the first 2 things people aren't seeing is what I want them to do next, I have made a mistake. And so even if it's, I need to change the color, I need to make it bigger. What do I need to do to get, what's that?
Oh, hold on.
Just give us an example. Give us an example. What you're talking about.
What I typically would want them to do next would be call me, schedule an appointment. And also here's a cheat on this, is if you say, call me, and underneath that, so I remember having a client, actually it was a lawyer recently, and we had the conversation of what do you want them to do? Right. I want them. So the call to actions for that lawyer was, I either want them to call our office or I want them to fill out a form. And so great. So underneath it is like, it says, learn more. Right.
Okay.
We want them to learn more because they haven't quite get there. But underneath that, we say something like trusted by hundreds of clients. If you put a trust statement right up underneath that, you can increase the likelihood of them clicking that. And so then that's my theory, right? So that's all theory until we use that before we put it up. But then afterwards, the next thing that I like to do is to install Hotjar on the pages of the website. So what Hotjar is a piece of software you can have your team to do for you. But in this instance, we always do it. And with Hotjar, we use 2 now, and I'll tell you the other one is really good. I might like it a little more than Hotjar. But Hotjar will tell you what is happening when people are visiting your website. Now, if you do this, you need to have privacy. Make sure you're telling people that you're watching basically what they're doing when they're on your website. It won't record any important information, but you're just trying to, because marketing, what you're trying to learn is not about one-to-one, one person came and person did this. But for data, you want to look at the aggregate.
Yeah,
what did
absolutely.
the aggregate of people do when they came to your website? And if the aggregate stopped at the fold and left, then we got to start all over, right? The data is telling us that we have to do something different. So for this particular client, though, we're getting form fills for her. And again, I really do. I attribute it a lot to those trust statements that we have underneath the call to actions. The other tool that I like a lot that is free to you is Clarity. So what Clarity does, it'll even tell you, this is cool because this is, again, the data telling us something that we didn't even realize. One thing that we had a client and it notified us, hey, you're getting frustration clicks. And I was like, what's a frustration click? That, as I never heard, but it's basically a client thinks that something that you put on the website should be clickable and should take you to another page. And they're trying to click. And it's so funny because you can hear the clicks when they play it back to you. And it's like, click, 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 abandon. You're like, oh,
because they think it should be.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, in today's day and age, everybody thinks anything on a website is clickable.
It's clickable. So if you're going, it's really important is where that's important is if you're trying, and we try to avoid this, if we're changing the font on a page, it's typically click to a link. So meaning the color of the font. So all of a sudden I'm blue, and then all of a sudden I change to green, or it's probably I'm black and I change to blue.
Right.
Most people think that blue text is linkable.
Right.
And if you're just doing it for emphasis, you're going to get frustrated.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially if it says click here or click to do something. So you click on it.
Yeah. 100%. So anyway, so that data is amazing. And that, if you can have that visual data, it excites people so much. So when I take clients through that and able to see, because I think a lot of times what we do I know many of my clients become theoretical, like it's what I think. And it is like we have this gut feeling that we should do this, that, or the other. But when I'm able to say, hey, let me just take you through what we're seeing. And this, either one of those, Hotjar or Clarity, will actually even tell you what percentage of the page people scroll down to. Like most people do not scroll all the way down to the bottom. They don't.
I know.
And so, but if you're finding that a lot of people are stopping at 70%, like they scrolled all the way down, they got to 70% of the content. And let's just say your call to action was at 71. We use that data then to pull it up to 65.
That's
so
right.
So now more people can have something to do rather than leave. So that's, we try to use the data, not just, definitely the KPIs that you already mentioned, but there's so many possibilities.
Oh, there's tons of data.
Use data to move that needle and to say, okay, what am I learning here? And like, we didn't talk about this, but I'm curious, John, for you, have you ever noticed, like when you're putting up social content, do you ever use if you're doing organic, do you use that to like inform any ad content that you might use based on your measurements that you've maybe seen from the organic posts?
Oh, for sure. It was funny. I used it clearly. I made an adjustment after seeing the data of the men not doing very well, and so therefore all future ads excluded them. But all the time, you have to look at the data on what you're posting, and then it informs your future ads next round every single time. And so data is huge for me too. I try. There's certain types of data that I do share with clients, but most of the time I use it to just inform me so I can tell them why I'm about to do the next step. But a big one for me is on believe it or not, it's before I even have the client yet. The competitive analysis data excites clients. When clients see you take the time up front, before the client's even my client, that to go through like one or two or three of their competitors, and you pick out some really cool aha moments that they didn't even know about their competitor, and how I might even have an idea on how I might tackle that in terms of making them look better than their client. Then you have all ears. They're listening to you at that point. And data is one of the biggest things you can use to, win new business, as opposed to the amount you're going to use after you get the business.
When the most, again, competitive, lawyers love it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Lawyers want, if you, like, I remember having lawyers that I was talking to, right? And so to me, it helps for you to get a guide on how much should I be spending on ads, right? And so, well, it'll tell you two things. So I remember, and I know each of you, we all have lawyer clients, but I remember having a lawyer who was like, they wanted to advertise for personal injury, right? So they're newer. They've been in business now for 4 to 5 years. It's still newer from a lawyer perspective. And so they're like, okay, I'm ready I want to pay for ads. And I was like, okay, great. We start doing keyword research. And so then we come back and we say, okay, in order for you to be competitive here, because you can show up, you can be competitive, or you can dominate, right? Depending on how aggressive you want to be, we can help you.
Right. And how big your budget is. Yeah. That's
100% right. And so then when you start to say, listen, to be competitive, and especially when you say, this is where your competitor is, and showing them like this competitor is spending this amount of money, and that number is like $20,000. Yeah. This competitor is spending this amount of money, $15,000. Now, all of a sudden you have a budget, and I'm not saying that it's not a good budget for you, but if you want to compete with them at 2,000, we're going to have to trim down the number of words we're going to go after, change the long tail keywords, and.
Yeah,
all of
that's when it gets real. Yeah.
Yeah. All the ands don't matter. Or do you want to play the long game? Because what we learned the other day, right, is pay to play might not be the long game. And can you imagine how much more? Because SEO in general is less expensive than paid ads, right? I mean, they're not free. Sure. But the reason people don't want to do it because they're also not cheap, and it's a long game.
It's a long game.
So you're not going to see results overnight, but you would in paid ads. And that's why I really like to do both.
Yes.
Right? Because at some point, if you need ads today, let's do that. But over time, let's wane that. Let's continue to look at what's working, what's not working. Let's put content. Let's use the data to make these adjustments so that at some point you're only using SEO, and let them continue to pay $10,000.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right? I mean, lawyers have to keep their people working, right? All the other lawyers on their staff working. So a lot of them do pay-per-click up front, but they also play the long game and add SEO to it. So you're doing both until SEO becomes so good that you can taper off maybe. But I have a good friend of mine who's an immigration lawyer, and he's never changed. He's always done about 20,000 on the pay-per-click side and per month, and still has a lot of presence on the SEO side as well. And he's not giving up either, because he has a decent amount of staff and he needs to keep them working. And that wraps up another episode. My name is John.
This is Jim.
And I'm Kelly. Thanks for joining. Hey, don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online? The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.